Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man.
Welcome to the Kirk and Bird Show. This is Rusty Bird, and my partner Kirk Hilliard is out of town still for business, but I got Jay Gholson with me, y'all. I got the Godfather of Prince William Cty Sports. Thanks for joining, Jay.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. Hey, look, we made some predictions last week, so we're going to go on some of those, and we had rankings, and we'll redo our rankings. I think you've published them on Facebook, but we'll kind of go through those again and update them. But let's talk about, there were some big games in Prince William County this past week, starting on Thursday night. And we were there live. Yeah. We were joined by VA Preps, Matt Hatfield. I did a quick interview after the show and quickly got Coach Overton on. But tell us about this game. This was Freedom against Stonebridge. Stonebridge, two-time defending champs. I don't think they lost a game in like two and a half years going into this season. And they've played a very tough schedule, but they always find a way to win. But tell us what happened on Thursday.
Well, it was electric. I mean, Freedom crowd was, I would say there was a minimum of about 3,000 people there on the Freedom side. Mm-hmm. And warm-ups, Freedom was ready. They were dancing and just hyped up. Stonebridge, the first drive, they were doing very well. They were going down the field, driving. And guess what happens? It's like a river bend, a bad snap. And it went way over at the quarterback's head. Freedom again, tried to pick it up, take it to the house, but they fall and then fumble, and first score was right there. And then after that, their defense for Freedom, Devin Reeves had 12 tackles.
Ooh.
Yeah. 12
well.
tackles. Yeah. And Stonebridge, like last year's game, they were in a single wing offense, the misdirection. And if you're a defender, you have to stay put. You can't react too quickly. Last year, they reacted too quickly. Thursday night, they stayed home. And there was a lot of third and longs, second and long. And that defense for Freedom really was disciplined. And Stonebridge could not react. And, of course, the speed of Freedom, it was Stonebridge's size versus Freedom's speed. And there was one pass where Stonebridge quarterback Reyes dropped back, receivers wide open. And last minute, boom, interception. The defender played him off. Basically, he hit off their quarterback and tricked him. Interception in the end zone. And then you had Cam Courtney. He had a 97-yard kickoff return.
Man, that was an incredible return. Is that the play with the Stonebridge player?
Yes.
Hurt his leg? Okay.
I saw him in the hospital. I saw him by accident, and he's okay. Talked to the parents. They told me, they said, hey, man, that Freedom team, they remind me of Highland Springs. I said, really? Okay. Yeah, they have the Highland Springs attitude, the speed, so they're going to go far in the playoffs.
Okay.
But the Stonebridge, they did not quit. They did not quit. They played tough the whole game. But with Freedom, Freedom got them.
No, I said this was a good Freedom team after seeing them against DeMatha, but they really showed me something. They played that single wing extremely well. Ooh. And that tough you got to prepare for when you only see it maybe once or twice a season. So one other thing I did want to mention that you said, the young man that was in the hospital, he had surgery Saturday morning. That's when you saw his family. But you also said that his parents thought that Freedom showed a lot of class as a team, as his son was being, removed from the field, just in how they lined up and how they were very respectful. So we want to give Coach Darryl Overton and the team, we want to shout that out, because a lot of times people will point out when our kids are, negative and not being having showing sportsmanship, but that was acknowledged by a parent of the other team, and I thought that game was well played, and congratulations to Coach Overton and the way his young athletes responded to that challenge against two-time state champ. But I don't think other people can do that to Stonebridge. I mean, it looks rough, but I tell you what, it gives Coach Mickey Thompson something to look at on film and say, look, we're not going. We see where we got weaknesses, whether it's the players or our calls or just what. So I think they'll grow from that as well. I wouldn't count them out on that Division 5.
Oh no, they beat a good Centerville team.
Yeah, and they beat Madison.
At Madison, and that Madison, the coach told me that the Madison crowd was bigger than the Freedom crowd.
Oh, woo.
He said the whole school came to that game.
Wow.
There were student section that covered half of the stands. He said that was a hostile environment.
Wow.
Freedom was crowded. They said that Madison crowd, they said they wanted to see us lose.
Wow.
That's what the parent told me. So yeah, but Stonebridge will be back. They're a good team. They're well coached. Well coached.
Yep.
They will still be in the playoffs.
Okay. So I got a couple other things we want to quickly hit. So when we talk about this single wing, Freedom did it perfectly the way they played it. But Colgan ran up against that with Freedom South Riding. And I don't know if you ever I know you couldn't make the game. I don't know if you got a chance to watch any of it.
I watched it.
Yeah. And I was there in person. And, the funny thing is a lot of these Loudoun teams run that style offense. And they do it, because they're, and it's what I love. Like the Dulles South Youth Football organization, a lot of those teams, they run that offense. And those kids are playing that offense from ages, 6 and up. I remember when I coached at APYFL, one of our most difficult games to prepare for. They did not have as much talent, but they ran that offense. And they got the kids sitting there back like this, and it's snapping to different people. And it is hard. Now, as a defensive coordinator, now I'm not going to tell high school coaches how to do their thing. Especially with their team, although I have experience coaching on a lot of different levels. But I'll say this, the one thing that stands out to me, I know when I prepare for it as a coach on whatever level, you got to stay low. In fact, what we would do is we have our big guys in the front, just kind of turn to the crab, bear crawl, and just stack up the hole. What I saw happening a lot with the Colgan is, and this is what this playing right into the hand. The kid stood straight up. The defender. You gotta stay low, and so you gotta stay low regular, no matter what offense you're going up against. But they were standing up, and you can't do that because you can't find the ball. You're going to go wherever the first fake was, and keys are getting out. And the key to it is them getting you out of position. And thinking they're going to. And if you just got to stay in your lane, and you got to stay low and be ready to tackle. And Freedom South Riding, I'm not taking anything away from them. They ran that ball effectively. They ran that offense well. But I want to say I think Independence runs that offense. They had Bishop Ireton on Friday, and they beat them like 43-7.
Wow.
Independence. So it's a lot of those teams that are running that. Out here, Cortland runs it. I think Massaponax is running in the past.
They're the supreme Massaponax, the triple option.
I think they beat Freedom one year in the playoffs with that.
Yeah.
So it's something that's difficult to prepare for because you may not see it very often, and you can pass out of it because as soon as you think only thing they're doing is running, that's when they throw it. So anyway, so that was a great game.
Back to the game, Colgan game. Let's see your Freedom South Riding. Okay, you go to a visiting team. You walk in that stadium. You look to your left, you see all those Colgan fans, all the pretty girls, the cheerleaders. You're like, you know what? Let's win this game.
Right.
They did. They said, let's play hard. So they were playing hard because their side maybe was very little on their side. You see a big crowd, and you're a visiting player, that'll pump you up.
Oh, yeah. Well, the other thing I noticed about that night, and I just said, to me, Colgan came out flat. They didn't look like when they were playing OP, they were ready. I mean, there was a lot going on with, players, coaches having been coaching at different places. And so there was a lot of intensity on both sides. Yeah. And I saw that. you know, and then I saw it the follow up with the Osborne game. But when I don't know if maybe it's because Freedom South Ryan's not a Prince William County school, so they don't know anything. They don't know the kids. They haven't, you know, they don't have those relationships, you know, and they just came out flat. And I just never saw them like, it didn't seem to be that same level of energy. I will say this. I always hate to get a loss, but I'll tell you, just like for Stonebridge, for Colgan, grow from it, coach.
Yeah.
Grow. There's something you can learn from it. And I told my son, I said, you know, now you just go 9-1. You know? I even told Daryl after I interviewed him, you know, because based on what we said on the show, I said, oh, Colgan about to hand you an L this year, so we'll see.
Now,
all right.
Being Colgan, one more thing about Colgan. Sometimes when you're 2-0, you believe the press.
Yeah.
You walk in, test up, you know, you can't tell you nothing. You know, my high school, we were 5-0. And guess what happened? We were 5-5 at the end of the year.
Yeah.
So I've been there. I know you believe the press. And, you know, we're pretty good. You know, and unfortunately, sometimes somebody can just boom. Like Freedom South, they came there to win the game. South Riding. They came in there to steal a win. Yeah,
they sure did. And they ran their offense to perfection. They played good defense. So you're right. But I think this gives the coaches and the athletes a chance to reset. Exactly. They play champ next week, and then they have a bye.
Okay.
So real quickly, we'll go through some of the other games. Patriot at Forest Park on that same Thursday night, and they handed it to Forest Park. I still think Forest Park is a quality team. They have that great offensive line, and they did move the ball. They scored some points, but I just think Patriot is they're right up there on another level. Again, I've had them as one of the teams I think that can win the region.
Let me say this about Patriot. First of all, Gabe Bigby is Gabe Bigby.
Yeah.
I mean, bottom line, he's going to have his yards, his catches, his touchdowns, and he's a superstar. I'll give him that. Mm-hmm. Now, what got me was Sam Fernandez got hurt on the fourth play of the game, knocked out of the game. And Scott Bateman, a backup quarterback. Now, get this. You're a backup quarterback going to a visiting stadium. That's hard. That's a hard thing because you're going to blitz. Every play, going to blitz you. The defense is going to blitz you. The fans will give you a hard time, but he came in there, ice veins, and they kept scoring and scoring and scoring, and he did very well. I give him props. I mean, to go in as a backup quarterback in a visiting stadium, because Montclair, Forest Park's hostile. They're allowed at Forest Park, and I remember that. Of course, the line when you have Cole Serber on that line, and you have Cam Mahoney blocking. And Charlie Chandler, Brandon Chandler, you have Brandon Koo. I mean, that line helps when you're a backup quarterback in a strange and visiting environment.
Yeah, absolutely.
Have Gabe Bigby to help you out. Yeah,
he's an incredible player. I think I saw a stat posted by him or someone on Twitter saying he's got third leading receiver in the state of Virginia in terms of maybe yards over touchdowns, but he's representing very well, and he's a great young man. All right, next thing I want to touch on is Unity Reed versus
Woodbridge.
So here we go again. We've got these Cedar Run versus the Cardinal, and Cedar Run is kind of handing it to us.
Respect to Cedar Run. I give respect.
Yeah.
Woodbridge has still, I said it last week, I'll say it again. Their offense is just not there right now. I don't know what's wrong with their offense. They had not one, but they had 2 pick sixes for Unity Reed.
Wow.
And so Woodbridge, they have a defense, but their offense is just not there yet. Now, Unity Reed, we'll talk about later on, they're 2-0, and they play, Freedom this Thursday night. So we'll find out about the Cedar Run versus the Cardinal District real quickly on Thursday.
Yeah. So they got us this past week with 3 wins. But then within the Cedar Run, we also had Battlefield versus Gainesville. And, Gainesville had the big win the week before against OP, but I think reality kind of set in when Battlefield was like, look, this is we did not lose a game last year until we got to Oscar Smith, and they just kind of established their dominance, and they had a long running great tradition program. But Gainesville, we can see now, after what they showed, we can see that they have a plan.
Well, I said also, I said on the board. Sorry to cut you off.
No,
Gainesville has Coleman Smith. That boy's special. Okay,
mm-hmm.
The Gainesville, you have Caleb Woodson, you have Brody Carroll, you have Cole Woodson. I mean, it's like big brother versus little brother.
Yeah.
And Battlefield just said, hey, you can tell in the game. I watched the game on the network. It was just it's like they push him around. And Gainesville, I mean, they're going to be all right, but they cannot. They're not ready to compete against the Battlefields and the Freedoms and I hate to say it, in the Patriot high schools.
Yeah.
It's going to be tough.
Yep, I agree. All right, so we've got Battlefield. We've had one victory over Loudoun County with Freedom, but then Briarwood played Hilton, and they handed it to them. And Briarwood, I don't know and they've had great teams in the past, but Hilton beat Briarwood last year. Hilton beat them. Yeah, they beat them last year. So, I just think this is a down year, and I think that's about as much as we need to say about Hilton.
Yeah, I won't say bad right now.
We'll keep working hard, Coach. We love you, and I hope they're able to get on their field. I know I don't think that turf field is quite done yet, but hopefully they can get on there. And then now I'll tell you, it's another game that it's kind of a surprise. Especially the score, not that Kettle Run couldn't win, but Kettle Run handed it to Brentsfield District. Did you watch that?
Oh, Rusty. That was a hostile environment for Brentsville. That PA announcer was kind of like talking smack to Brentsville. He was, yelling and saying this and make some noise to the Kettle Run fans, and they just get pumped up. Brentsville, I mean, that was a bad game for them. It happens when high school kids, you don't have to have a bad day in school or girlfriend dumps them before the game. But that game, unfortunately, will make Brentsville have to travel for the playoffs.
Maybe because remember, Brentsville is Division III. I believe Kettle Run is 4.
Oh, I hope. Okay.
And so they lost. But hopefully, again, this is one of those games where the coaches say, hey, look, we need to fix this. Okay, yeah, made it to the semis last year, but let's work on these things and maybe get them. And Kettle Run's legit. Like,
I saw the game. They were going nonstop. Run the score up. That's a great line there. But I tell you what, there's revenge next year. When they play again.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So that's some of the highlights. What do we have coming up this week that you think the game of the week, in your opinion? So I know Freedom, Unity Reed, probably the game of the week. Would you say?
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Both teams are undefeated. You have, Amari Campbell, Unity Reed, and then Freedom. You have T.J. Bush, Jeff Overton, Tristan. They call him the Iceman, Evans, Cam Courtney. It's going to be at Unity Reed. Now, as a high school player, when I was a junior at Potomac, we were 4-0. Stonewall was 4-0. We went there. First quarter, 21-0, we're down. Because it's a hostile environment. Unity Reed, Stonewall Jackson.
Yeah, that place, when they're good, can be very difficult.
Yes.
I agree. So that one, and then I know Colgan is going to get an opportunity to maybe bounce back at Champ.
Champ?
At Champ.
Ooh.
I know, but it can happen, but they got to be focused. They got to put in the work. And so we're just hoping that works out. Those are games that stand out to me. But let me ask you, two next things I want to do. What is the Jay Gholson new top 5 for Prince William County football?
All right, top 5. I'm gonna go 5 first to number 1. Number 5, Brentsville High School because they lost to a good, undefeated Keller Run team.
Okay.
Okay. Number 4, Unity Reed. Now they're
Okay.
2. Now they beat an average. Listen carefully, Unity Reed people. They beat an average Westfield team and beat a slightly below average Woodbridge team.
Mm-hmm.
So, number 3, I have Battlefield. Now, Battlefield, you have not played yet a winning team. So that's why you're number 3. Look, now I know I talked to Matt Hatfield of Virginia Preps. He told me on Thursday night that he put Freedom above Battlefield now. So Battlefield, you're number 3.
Okay.
Number 2, I have Patriot. I mean, like I said before, I'll say it again. You got Gabe Bigby's doing a hell of a so far had a hell of a season. Hopefully, now again, I hope Sam Fernandez is back for the next game. I mean, I know he had a shoulder injury. I don't know if it's throwing or his other shoulder. I don't know which one it was. I talked to his dad online. I didn't ask him more specifically what it was. But they need him back. Now they have a good backup quarterback in Scott Bateman. He did a good job. But yeah, Patriots number 2, and number 1. Obviously, no one could say I'm wrong about this one. You beat by 60 points. You beat a top 10 Riverbend team by 74 points. You beat the 2-time state champion Stonebridge by 20 points.
Yeah.
So right now I have Freedom, not only in Prince William County, I'm saying right now to pick Anthony Jones and Oscar Smith, the whole state.
I agree.
State. Yeah, the whole state.
I have to say, I absolutely agree in terms of where, I thought that Freedom was great against DeMatha, but I don't know DeMatha's team. I know they're traditionally great, but I don't know how many kids were sitting out. But I know they balled right up there with them. But no, that was not a fluke against DeMatha. Clearly, they're beating quality teams, and Freedom just has, they have a way that they carry themselves that says, no, we're legit, and guess what, we're young. So you want to do this for a while.
Yeah, and actually after Unity Reed game, they should win that. After that Unity Reed game, it's an easy schedule until the playoffs. I hate to say it because Garfield's down, Potomac's down, Woodbridge is down. Well, we got Colgan. Colgan might give us a game. So we got Colgan. But that's it. I mean, after Unity Reed, that'll be the last undefeated team that they will have played until the playoffs.
Okay.
And it will be Battlefield or Patriot at Freedom for the regional championship.
Okay. You don't think Patriots? You don't think Patriots? Okay. No, that's good. That's good.
Right, Battlefield or Patriot will play at Freedom. And guess what? You got to deal with me as the announcer.
I don't know if that's going to help you with motivating other team or hurt them or whatever. Okay, so let me just go real quick because we're talking about some 757 football, and I'm looking at the Max Prep's current VHSL ratings for the state, regardless of division. And right now they have Oscar Smith number 1, Highland Springs number 2, Freedom number 3, Life Christian, Varina, Phoebus,
Trash.
Maury at 7, Dinwiddie at
Trash.
8, 9 is Battlefield, and then Liberty Christian number 10. So let me just say this. I think from what I've seen, and I want 757 folks to know this, I've seen Oscar Smith. I know it's a great program, and they have been dominant over the years. But this year, I think I'm going to go. And I'm not going to worry about these rankings. Free Oscar Smith at number 1. They can stay there. They deserve it after the last 2 years. You've got Oscar Smith, winner of the last 2 state championships, been in the finals a lot. Highland Springs, great program. I have no problem with that. So Freedom being there and losing in the regional final, I don't have a problem. It's acknowledging they're one of the top 5. And, at Division 6, they're maybe the second team. So, and then Varina, of course, we know they're really good. They're at 5. I don't know Life Christian Academy. That's the one in the Richmond area. Phoebus is legit. They're at 6. Maury lost to New Bern, but my brother was at that game and he said Maury, but they're small, but
Okay.
I think Maury doesn't have the greatest or the strongest district, so they'll come back. They'll be fine. And then Battlefield is at number 9. They're 2-0. Like you said, they haven't really played anybody to really be of noteworthy. But I guess I just want to say this. So I think Prince William County, we've got 2 teams in the top 10 in the state. But I think when I look, I think Brentsfield can be there. And I think any representative from this region in 6 will do fine.
Here's the deal, though. Okay. Personally, for a state poll, I would have Holland Springs number 1, Freedom number 2. And I would have Patriot in that top 10. Somewhere in that top 10.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, actually, I've heard through Matt Hatfield from Virginia Preps. He told me Oscar Smith plays 3 quarterbacks.
Mm.
You can't win on 3 quarterbacks. I'm sorry. That's not consistent. And I'm sorry. And also, too, it's hard to win, almost impossible to win 3 in a row. Because one, you're going to lose a quarterback probably. You're going to lose that. You're going to lose some linemen. People transfer out and graduate. And
Smith just reloads, bro. I mean, you got to look at the last 12 years. Like they've been there. They've been legit. They've been going to the finals. Now Westfield, beat them 3 times in a row in overtime.
Hey,
but
say that again. What happened?
But they've shown some of the most consistency, and out of that, they've won. So I would say the most dominant teams over the last 10 years in the state, you got to go with Highland Springs, Oscar Smith. Westfield is down now, but they were in this last 10 years. They were there and always a threat. And then, of course, Stonebridge, right there. So anywhere you kind of mixed up some of those teams up, I'm fine with it. I'm glad Phoebus finally got on track and got a state championship. But speaking about Phoebus, program from my district, Kirk's school, alma mater, I want to talk a little bit. So I got to give some love to my Bethel Bruins. Got their first win of the year for Coach David Porter, beating Gloucester handily. And so I'm really proud of them. But I got my Hampton High School friends out there, y'all. Whoa, Hampton High. And I'm not going to say anything bad. They're in a rebuilding time, at a rebuilding time right now. But Hampton, I know those alum are not feeling this, but it's going to be patient. It's going to take a little time, but this is not what Hampton has seen for the last 50 years ever.
Oh. Yeah. That's what, unfortunately, when you rezone districts or people, I don't say not lose their jobs, just leave. Like Petersburg High School, back in the 80s was dominant. And then, of course, the town, now Petersburg High School is, I think, Division II school, classified as not D6, but D2 or 3. So, yeah, it happens when neighborhoods close down or, because Hampton was, when I was a kid, that was a barometer. It was Hampton High School, Hampton and T.C. Williams.
Yeah.
We knew in Woodbridge that, okay, if we win this, we're going to play either Hampton or T.C. Williams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Hampton has a win over Gloucester.
Yeah.
But they lost to Booker T and they got beat by Woodside, both by 40 points. Woo! But there is room in this district to get some wins. So we're not counting out Hampton, and we're just surprised to see them look like this. So there's still definitely room out there to win. They could beat Bethel, That's a rivalry game, and both teams are rebuilding. They could beat Denby. They probably will. Denby's really struggling to field enough athletes to really be productive on the field. And you just never know when you go in there going up against Kickingham, another Hampton City school. Those kids have played against each other, so you just never know. But I'll say that I think the Peninsula District is figuring some things out, and they're going to be fine. I think they will be fine. Other side of the water, Maury, I don't know how they're still ranked. They're 0-1. They're only going to play 8 games this year. I just I don't know how they're ranked in the state. Maybe if you want to rank them in your Division Fives, but I just don't get it. So we'll see. I mean, I like Marty. My nieces go there. My niece graduated from there, and I have my nephew will be there next year as a football player. But you know,
they're going by last year.
Yeah,
like I said last week, this is the NFL. I mean, this is, players come and go in high school football. You can't go by previous year unless everybody's returning.
Yeah.
Then you say, okay, you were one last year, you're one this year, but football, high school football players, they come and go.
And I'm gonna tell you, man, that Division 5, we've said, is the toughest division, top to bottom.
No joke. I agree.
When I think of Division 5, of course, Highland Springs, Stonebridge, but down there, Kempsville, Green Run, some really strong program. And look, Woodside is a good program. They're 5 in the Peninsula District. So I don't know. We'll see. But I just want the people out there in the Hampton Roads high school football community to know that I support and love my 757. But there's some teams up here. We're talking right now mostly Prince William County, but we're gonna have some guests on talking about Fairfax and in those Richmond area schools. So just keep the chatter going. But don't sleep on these teams, okay? Don't sleep on. I think right now the best team in the state is Freedom, regardless of the division or level, regardless of private or public. The best program. So let's go ahead on, and next we're gonna wrap this up in the last couple of minutes. Any thoughts on college football this weekend? I'll just say this, and I've said it for a while. The Sun Belt Conference.
Woo!
Is equivalent, if not better than, the Atlantic Coast Conference.
Oh.
And I said that before the season. And I'm telling you, the Atlantic Coast Conference is not what it was. I'd say 10 years ago, there were times when I was pointing out how close it was to the SEC, because you could just look at some of those basic rivalries. Georgia Tech could beat Georgia. Clemson was pounding South Carolina, and I'm saying those regular. Florida State was beating Florida. We had national champion in Florida State, and Clemson got a couple. But the ACC is so far down now. When really one of your strongest teams is Wake Forest, you gotta kind of say. So I mean, the Sun Belt took care of business this past weekend and could have had a couple more victories. App State took out Texas A&M.
Now imagine that Texas A&M has many 4- and 5-star players on that roster.
Oh my God!
Honestly, it's team chemistry is more important sometimes than someone's talent or what someone's rated. I mean, you look at somebody called me on Friday. Actually, a Stonebridge coach told me, he says, Jay, if you're going to bet on Marshall and the points against Notre Dame. I said, you're crazy. Saturday, he texted me. I'm like, what? I said, oh my God, he's right. They're winning. Marshall's beating Notre Dame.
Yeah.
I mean, Dame. Yep. So, that's what. And one thing I learned about college football, last thing I'm going to say, that when Nebraska fired Scott Frost, this is a business.
Yeah.
If you're a college player, you have to perform, because if you don't perform, your coach is going to be fired.
That's right.
And he went to Nebraska. That's his college. He graduated from Nebraska, and they fire you. It's like there's no. I mean, that's like John Thomas at Georgetown got fired. Yeah.
Well, I think John stepped down, but it was time. I mean, if he wanted, I don't think
his son.
Oh, his son. Yeah. Well, his son got fired. Yeah.
That's what I meant. His son got fired.
Yeah. But let me say this. When we look at what the Sun Belt has done this year, ODU beat Virginia Tech.
Woo!
Carolina struggled to beat Georgia State. Okay. That program only started 12 years ago. I mean, they just started that pro football program in 2010. Okay. South Alabama beat Central Michigan. So, head to head with the what is that conference up there? The MAC. They're beating the MAC head to head. App State went to Texas A&M and handled their business against a team, not just with 4 and 5 stars, but lots of money, according to Nick Saban, with NIL deals and facilities, locker rooms, and all that. And then, James Madison is just moving up to that level, but they destroyed Norfolk State.
That's embarrassing.
Yeah.
If you're A&M, you pay a school, $500,000.
yeah.
And then they come and beat you. That's, yeah. Kick your ass. Give me the money. Let's get out of here.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So again, and then we go. ODU played East Carolina, pretty well. East Carolina beat them. East Carolina's good. They played NC State very closely. So I think Carolina's on the right track. But another Sun Belt MAC game was Louisiana. They crushed Eastern Michigan. And Troy, they destroyed Alabama A&M. And then, of course, Georgia Southern beats Nebraska. Okay.
Yeah, that's why he got fired.
And that's why he got fired.
Yeah.
And so, and Coastal Carolina handled Gardner well. Well, they beat them by 4. But I guess my point is, this is why we need to expand the college playoffs to 12 or 16. And the reason I say that is because we got to get rid of this notion that one group is a Power 5 and one is a Group 5, because there's no more Power 5 in Pac-10 or ACC. There's just not, and it definitely won't be in a couple of years with those, UCLA and USC going to the Big Ten, and even the Big 12. Like, you got Texas and Oklahoma going to the SEC. It's really just going to be 2 powers, and everybody else, the 2 powers and the Group 7. But give them a chance. Give them a chance. That AAC, now the Big 12 is going to steal some of them, but I've always thought those, like Cincinnati was great last year, but I've always thought, Memphis and Central Florida, like those are some good programs. In fact, Scott Frost left Central Florida.
Thank you.
What was he thinking? Like, in Central Florida, within probably a 20-mile radius, he had more athletes than he could find in 400 miles around Nebraska. Like, he
3,000 miles.
Right. This is not the 70s or the 80s when Nebraska was going to LA and getting those kids, or Texas. No, they can go anywhere now.
Anywhere.
You were right there in Florida where you had, like, you could have maybe, but I get it. It's his home school. He played there. I get it, So anything else, Jay, stand out for you on the college level this weekend or high school before we wrap this up?
That's basically it. What you said. That's basically, that's the nutshell. The Sun Belt Conference. There's a lot of smoke there. Yeah.
And I'll tell you, the last thing I want to say is we have to be a little patient with some of these programs and new coaches. And I say that because Notre Dame, especially with the brothers of their head coaches.
William.
UVA. Yeah. With Illinois. Notre Dame. So it's just if Texas A&M and LSU can take L's, everybody's going to be taking those now. Again, the parity with the transfer portal, with 5 to 6 year experienced players out there, these things are going to be much more commonplace. So just like I'm sure you're going to give Brian Kelly a little time, let's give everybody a little time. Now, Scott Frost had a lot of time. In fact, he had a lot more time than Willie Taggart had at Florida State, and they started at the same time. So that's all I would say. But yep. So all right. Look, I appreciate you coming on the show, bro. Like, you bring a lot of knowledge, and we are going to represent Prince William, Northern Virginia, but I'm also representing 757, and I'm proud of the programs down there. I love the passion. I love Anthony, the things he's saying and things he's thinking, because that's how I feel. but I've also seen both areas. I'm actually going to be down there this coming weekend. I think my son's taking a recruiting trip to see Norfolk State, and they're playing Hampton University. So I think that'll be a lot of fun. And so if you see Rusty Bird from the Kirk and Bird Show at the Norfolk State game, give me a shout out, say what's up. All right, and then I just thank you all for supporting this show. I do want to ask you this, please, we love the comments. Please subscribe, like, and comment. And we're on a drive. We're going to be driving. We have about 530 subscribers right now. Can you help us? We're going to actually try to put together some way of tracking which high schools have the most subscribers, because we want to get to 1,000 before the end of October, and you can help us. So if you're watching the show, just go ahead and subscribe, and that'll help you get a little ring if you get a notification that the newest episodes are out. But you'll help the Kirk and Bird Show, but it also help you so that you can tell us how great my opinions are and how whack Jay's are. All right. Thanks again, Jay. Hey, Jay, want to put in a plug for your real estate?
Jay Gholson, Rematch Executives, 703-517-8640.
I'll say this. Jay may not know that much about sports, but he knows real estate. No, Jay is the man.
Fill a profile.
Jay is the man. He will help you sell your house, but he will also help you get a great deal on a home. All right. So this has been Kirk and Bird. We are out. Thanks, man.
All right.
I appreciate you, bro.
All right, you too.
All right.